What is up, you guys? It's your favorite tarot reader, and I am back. Except for I'm not back with another read. I am back with my addiction story. This will be my addiction to marijuana story. I guess you can say this might be a little taboo for some people because some people feel like weed is not a drug. I used to feel like weed is not a drug, but when it got to the point where I found out I was pregnant and I could not stop smoking, that was my very pivotal moment where I was kind of like, I am an addict. So, yeah. Um, I would say my addiction started right after I had my daughter because I had smoked weed recreationally before, just kind of like with friends at parties in college. Um, I didn't really smoke weed in high school because I grew up with a mother who smokes weed. And as a child, I really hated weed. I hated the fact that my mom smoked weed. Like, I thought she was a crackhead. And as a kid, you don't know the difference between different drugs. So, as a child, to me, I felt like, okay, if my mom is in a room doing something that she don't want me to see, obviously that's something bad. So I just equated it to, I don't want my mom doing this because when she does, she's always with her friends. She's not spending that time with me. And overall, I just hated her smoking. I don't really think I hated her smoking because I don't remember how I was affected by her smoking because, as y'all know, I have DID, um, um, dissociative identity disorder. So I don't really have all parts of my memory. So I don't remember how her actually smoking weed made me feel. I feel like I just clumped together smoking weed with like her spending time with her friends and kind of just not really being around me as much. So I guess weed was kind of just the big thing. It was what brung them together. It was kind of like, it was, how y'all get with y'all friends when y'all all together and y'all smoking and y'all kicking it and whatever. So that's what my mom used to do, and I grew up feeling like I hated weed, I hated smoking, and I didn't want to do it. So in high school, I had an opportunity to try to smoke weed, and I tried it, and I did not like it. Um, I just felt like I didn't get high, but I was very paranoid in school that everybody was gonna know that I was high. And to me, I felt like I didn't like people knowing that my mom smokes because we used to go to the movies and shit, and they would spray us like with plenty spray. Like they'd be smoking in the car, and then it was like, okay, y'all gonna spray us. And then it was kind of like embarrassing. Like, if y'all spraying us, that means that we shouldn't be smelling like this. So in my mind, I'm thinking, bitch, we're doing something bad, right? So in high school, after I had did it, I'm just paranoid looking around like, okay, everybody must know that I smell like weed. Everybody must know that I smoke. Everybody must know that I'm an addict. Like, again, a fucking kid. I was like 15 when I tried for the first time. I was in 10th grade. And I just hit it like out of a pipe. It wasn't even like a bong, it was a pipe. And yeah, that was my first time. And then I hadn't really done it again until I had graduated, and me and my god sister Denasia, we start like kicking it. Like, we start going to parties, house parties and all of that. So we would both have like a half pint of Hennessy to ourselves and weed or whatever. And I never knew how to buy weed. Whenever I went with them or something, I would put like $5 on, or because at the time it was like $10 could get you like two blunts. I think I don't really remember the prices or something, but I know that like out of a 3-5 we getting like 7 blunts. Period. Now you get about 3 of them bitches. But no, for real, back then a 3.5 meant 6 blunts plus that extra point 0.5, bitch. Like, plus, okay, like that extra 7th blunt, like, So that was what it was. Like, I used to always put money in on weed and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, I got my first weed man right, I guess right before. When did I get my first weed man? Bitch, no. Oh my fucking god, no. I got my first weed man like my sophomore year in college, because freshman year I was living on campus, but my sophomore year In college, I used to sneak and smoke. Like, I would buy weed from this dude named Dante, rest in peace. If y'all from Milwaukee and y'all know Dante, shout out to him. Anyway, but I had a weed man, and he was a super popular dude in Milwaukee, and I think I like found him on Facebook or something like that. And yeah, he used to just bring me, like, I would give him, like, I think I would give him like a dub like every week, and I could make a dub like, that's 2 blunts. I can make 2 blunts last a whole 7 days. So what I would do is I would get under the covers at my mom's house, because her room was right next to mine. So whenever she would roll up her weed and smoke, that was the perfect opportunity, because it's like, okay, if she's smelling weed in the house already, she's not gonna smell mine. So I would just close my door, and I would put the covers over my head, and I would hit the blunt. And you gotta understand, I was hotboxing under my covers, and I was new to smoking, so I could definitely just hit the blunt like 3 times and be done, and then go about my day, and it just be what it be. So that's how it kind of started. Yeah, I was sneaking and doing it, so it was definitely something that I felt like I shouldn't be doing. I was spending money on it. It was a drug, and I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize. We act like marijuana is just some recreational thing, but honey, it is a drug. If you have to sneak and do it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. After that, I had gotten out of a relationship. And the reason why I had started smoking was because that freshman year, the end of freshman year, I had gotten out of my first long-term relationship. It was my first love, and he had broken up with me, and I could honestly say I was going through it, and I turned to smoking. Like, that was the only reason why I had started smoking, because I didn't have any friends. So it was kind of like, after school, I didn't have nothing else to do other than smoke, get high, and then do a little bit of my homework. And I would try so hard to not think about him. So I would smoke and be like, okay, I would just go search on social media, like, okay. And the only thing that would stop me from looking at his social media was, okay, I'm finna get under my covers and I'm finna smoke. Like, I'm not finna think about it. I'm not finna bother myself with it. So that was kind of my routine. I had gotten in a routine of just shit smoking every day. Like, smoking, even if I was just hitting a blunt like 3 puffs a day, like, I was still smoking every day. So then it got to the point where I was dating another guy. This is my child's father. Shout out to Vaughn. We were in an abusive relationship. I have talked about it before. There's no animosity between us. We're close. But yeah, we were both in an abusive relationship because I was putting my hands on him. He was putting his hands on me. It was a very toxic situation. I'm not gonna lie. And me and him would be spending like our last $5 on some Reggie, bro. And at this time, people was not smoking Reggie, but me and my baby daddy, we was smoking Reggie because we were addicted to weed, and we were broke, and we didn't have any money. So here we are. He ended up getting me fired from my job, because he came up there or whatever and was acting crazy and like, oh, I'm gonna beat your ass and all of this shit. And I got fired from my job, and me and him just used that whole check on just shit, smoking, gas money, liquor, kicking it. Like, the whole summer we just fucking was like fucking kicking it. Like, that's all we was doing, was kicking it and smoking. We would just sit in the car all summer and sit in front of his mom's crib and just smoke, or just ride around and smoke. Like, smoking had become a thing. It was like we would get into a badass fight, just get done fist fighting each other, and then he'd be like, shit, you want to roll up? And I'm like, shit, let's do it. Like, it was our bonding. It was trauma bonding, and smoking was the thing that's kind of like, okay, we are exchanging energy. We have to talk to each other. We passing each other this blunt. Even if we was mad at each other, we was still smoking together. It was like, it was something that I felt was bringing me closer to somebody. because at the time I'm in an abusive relationship, so my relationship with my family is not good. I'm not talking to them because I don't want them to see the bruises on me. I don't want them to understand what's going on with me. A lot was going on with my mom at the time too. We had got put out our house. We didn't get evicted or anything, but our landlord had died, and then the house went up to I don't really remember all of what happened, but we pretty much got kicked out our house last minute, had to move everything. It was a lot. It was a toll on our family. It was a toll on me. And my way of just ignoring all of what was happening with my mom and what was going on. I wasn't there for my mom. I wasn't helping her. I wasn't there for my brother. I wasn't there for my auntie. I wasn't there for nobody but myself. I wasn't even there for myself because I'm in this abusive relationship, getting my ass beat, beating his ass, beating the shit out of this man, giving him black eyes. I turned myself into, I don't even know, because it got to the point where he wasn't even the one abusing me. It got to the point where I was the one abusing him. He would say something to make me mad, and instantly I'm mad, I'm upset, and then it's like, I want to smoke. Smoking was the only thing that ever was like, okay, it gives me time to breathe. And then I'm spiritual, so now I can understand how smoking and inhaling those thoughts. Air is one of the purest forms of communication to God. It's like how the birds talk to each other, how the wind touches the trees, how it releases that oxygen, all of that. So air and smoke is very, very spiritual and is very, very important. And I feel like all that 2 years of me and my baby daddy being together, because we was together for a long time. We was together for 2 years. And that whole time of us just being together in our addiction, in our toxicity with each other, I feel like spiritually I just kept praying. Like when I was smoking, you don't got to talk while you smoking. So it's kind of like you got the opportunity to just sit there and be in your thoughts. And I would just be in my thoughts like, God, get me out of this. Help me through this. Like, I don't know. Like, it was. Smoking was my safe haven. Like, it was my peace for a long, long time. It was how I coped with shit. It was how I went in my head without having people annoy me and want to talk to me. Because if I'm smoking, like, shit, we coughing, I don't want to talk, you know? So that was my kind of way of starting my addiction to weed. I was in a toxic relationship, and I had just moved from being in love and getting my heart broken to right away. And I've talked about it before. The physical pain of being with the nigga putting his hands on you is way, way, way easier than the emotional and mental pain of somebody breaking your heart. So instantly, a month after I stopped dating Tone, I went right into dating Vaughn. And the first way that he even put his hands on me was because of Tone. Well, it was because of me. But I had answered, hi. I had answered a phone call from Tone, a FaceTime, and I was smiling. I'm like, hey, yeah, what's up? And Vaughn looked over and, like, backhanded me. And at that point, that was the start of the abuse, and it had just continued from there. And that was that. So, in the midst of our abuse, I had got into a car accident with Vaughn. He was in the car behind me. He was chasing me, and I was running from him, and I had hit a really big pothole, and I went into the tree of my neighbor's home. Like, I went into their front yard, and I just ran. Like, it was so traumatizing. Like, the whole situation was very much traumatizing. I didn't know what to do. I just remember getting out the car and running to Vaughn and being like, oh my God, I'm so scared. How did this happen? He like, look at your dumb ass. Like, you just did this, and how the fuck did you do this? And he was just snapping on me, and that was like my peak moment. That was my peak moment where it was like, and this was in May. That was my peak moment where it was like, I cannot deal with this man anymore. I can't date him. Like, I can't. The fact that you didn't come for me after an accident, I can't do this with you, right? So, yeah. So at that point, I had cut off communication with him for about 2 weeks, and then I ended up getting a yeast infection, or feeling like I had a yeast infection. And lo and behold, I went to Planned Parenthood in Beach. June 2nd, baby, I found out that I was pregnant. I found out that I was pregnant. June 2nd of 2016, I found out that I was pregnant. And I just remember driving home from Planned Parenthood, like crying and laughing at the same time. Like literally crying and laughing at the same time. I was like, oh my God, how am I pregnant? But oh my God, God did this for me because now I don't have to be with Bonnie. No, I'm reenacting something. You got a boo-boo? You need help? You got a wedgie? Yeah. Oh, that's okay. But yeah, so pretty much I remember just praying to God and being so thankful, like, okay, you gave me a reason to get the fuck about this relationship. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. And then I was just crying like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm pregnant. Like, cause I wholeheartedly went in there for a yeast infection, y'all. I wholeheartedly went in there for a yeast infection. If y'all did not check out my pregnancy symptom videos that I did last week about it being really easy to get infections when you're pregnant, definitely go check that one out. But I hope Kamaya is not too much of a distraction, y'all. But yeah, so I got home and I couldn't hold water. Like instantly I showed my mom my pregnancy results. And I told my auntie. No, I didn't tell my mom. I'm lying. You see how I'm just lying so fucking quickly? Okay, so right away, as soon as I walked in the house, my auntie was walking down the stairs. I was going up the stairs. So I'm like, hey, like, look at this. And I end up showing my auntie that I was pregnant. 20 minutes later, I end up calling Vaughn, like, pull up. He pulled up. And I just gave him the paper. I ain't even saying no. I just gave him the paper. He like, it was a whole thing. And instantly, guess what the fuck I did? I went in the house and I rolled up a blunt. After Vaughn left, I went in the house and I rolled up a blunt. And I was just smoking it. And I had a whole 3-5 and I was smoking it. And I was just like, in my mind, I told myself, I'm finna finish this 3-5 because I don't want to waste my money. I just spent $30 on this. Or I think at the time, a 3-5 was $40. So I'm like, I just spent $40 on this. I'm not finna not smoke my weed, so it is what it is. So yeah, I end up like smoking that blunt, and then I was just like, nah, I can't do this. Like my plan was to finish this 3-5, but I can't. I had just got it the night before, so I had a bunch of weed, I had a bunch of blunts, and I was so devastated. I'm just like, bro, I cannot smoke this. Ooh, that's so cool. So I ended up sneaking it into my mom, because at this point my mom knew that I was smoking. I had been smoking for 2 years at this point. I had been stealing. Kamaya, can I tell you something? Come here. Come here. I like what you're doing. What you're doing is so cool, but mommy is working right now, right? Mommy is working? Yes. So can you go in the room and watch TV? Okay, you can play there, but you have to okay? Okay? Okay, y'all. So, I kind of left out in the midst of me and Vaughn's addiction to each other and to weed. Y'all, we would literally be stealing quarters, change. I would be stealing my mama roaches. Like, anything that we could do to smoke, we was doing it. Giving rides for $5, buying some Reggie for $5, like, and if you know, you know, like, don't nobody smoke Reggie, bro. Nobody smokes Reggie. So the fact that we was smoking Reggie, that's like the equivalent of, I can't get no opiates, so I'm gonna go smoke heroin because it's cheaper. It's damn near the same thing. Like, it's damn near the fucking same thing. It's just that we was addicted to weed. Like, and this is the thing. I hate that people try to act like weed is not a drug, because, bro, it is such a drug. And I can't even say I hate when people try to act like it's not a drug, because that was me, sis. That was me, okay? That was me. So, fast forward. We doing anything we can. We doing anything we can to get this weed and blah, blah, blah. Find out I'm pregnant. And I stopped smoking. It was easy. It was easy to stop smoking during my pregnancy, because I think it was just because it was my first pregnancy, and also I hadn't been as deep into my addiction. At this point, it had only probably been like 1.5 years, 2 years. So I was fine. Fast forward, my pregnancy was not easy. We had bed bugs during my pregnancy, so I could never sleep. it was like a whole epidemic of bed bugs going around in Milwaukee. And we had bed bugs, and I could not sleep. I could never get a comfortable sleep. My family had, my brother had basketball after school. My mom not only had to participate in my brother's after school activities, but she was also had the head cheerleading coach. And my auntie worked third shift, so she was sleeping throughout the day. So I was just always, I felt like home by my fucking self, going through depression, going through a sickness. I had hyperemesis. I had lost freaking so much weight. I was about 86 pounds the beginning of my pregnancy because I wasn't eating. Me and Vaughn was getting into it, fighting. You gotta think, it's summer. We fighting in hot cars and all this. So I'm losing weight. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm in a toxic relationship. I look crazy. I remember one day me and Vaughn had gotten into a really, really bad fight. And we decided to go on a date after we got out the fight, and we went on a walk. And a dog ended up freaking chasing me. And Vaughn is such a, like, he saw the dog. He saw the dog running towards me. He didn't say Caprice or nothing. He didn't warn me. He just laughed. Didn't help me or nothing. Like, I don't know why I just got irritated by that. But yeah. So afterwards, what? You can come say hi. Say hi. So afterwards, Vaughn ended up taking me to my mom's house because I tripped and I fell really, really bad and I hurt myself. And I went to my mom, and I didn't want her to think that Vaughn had beat me up so badly. So I just told her, like, I went to her and I told her, like, okay, don't think that this is nothing. Like, don't think that this is nothing. And the reason why I didn't want her to think it was nothing was because it got to the point where, like, Vaughn was coming to my house, banging on my windows, upsetting my mom, upsetting my family. And it was just a bad situation. So, yeah. So I had went to her, and I just remember she was like, your hair is so nappy. Like, you look a mess. You so skinny. You look crazy. You don't look like my daughter. Like, I didn't like the way I had looked. I had completely stopped taking pictures on social media. My body was sunken. My face was just dead. Like, I literally looked how I felt, and I wasn't myself. And yeah, I wasn't myself. I wasn't myself, and it was a lot. So yeah, fast forward, after the pregnancy, after I had given birth, I just remember the day I went into labor being like, nobody's gonna be here for me, nobody's gonna be here for me. And I remember as I was in labor, I'm like, at this point I'm like 17 hours into birth. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting anxious. Like, I had a lot of anxiety while I was in labor, while I was in the hospital giving birth to my daughter, because I'm like, okay, my mom has to go to work. For whatever reason, I didn't even think in my heart that I was worthy enough for people to be there while my daughter was born. I kept telling myself, well, my mom's going to have to go to work. She's going to have to take Cameron to school. I don't know why I didn't believe that my mom loves me enough to call off from work. But when you're in depression, when you're in addiction, when you're in sadness, when you're in depression, and all those feelings and all those emotions, you can't see past how other people really feel about you. You can barely see past how you feel about yourself, because you're not helping yourself. You're not showing up for yourself. Shit, you're not loving yourself when you in addiction like that, when you in sadness like that. And when your addiction comes from sadness, you really not loving on yourself. You really not being there for yourself. And it was to the point where I didn't care what I was smoking. I'm sitting here smoking nasty ass roach blunts, like literally like. Okay, when mommy get done with her video, we can paint. Okay. But yeah, so it had gotten to the point where I was just embarrassed, and I'm just like, I wanted to do better. I wanted better for myself, and I just decided, whatever, it is what it is. So at this point, I'm pregnant, and I had just had my baby, and I was just always sad and always lonely, and I was really selfish with my daughter, because she was the only thing that I felt like I had to myself. I didn't have my own house. I didn't have my own house. My car was messed up because obviously I had gotten into that car accident. I was saving up to buy a new car. I was always going to work. Because I had worked my whole pregnancy, and then I worked right after too. Like, I went right back to work because I was depressed and I didn't have anything to do. So it was like, why not work? And mind y'all, I was also in college. I had just started my third year, my junior year of college, and I didn't have a laptop at the time. So I just remember breastfeeding and doing homework on a little ass tablet that I could barely fucking see. My relationship with Vaughn, when I had first had her, it was really bad because I had a lot of animosity towards him, just because of everything. I didn't really see my role that I played. I just was upset with him, and I allowed him to miss out on a lot of opportunities with Kamaya and me. He didn't even get to see her be born because I had that animosity and stuff. So, um, yeah, it wasn't a good time, and I don't really remember. I do remember what made me smoke. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. I remember exactly what made me smoke. So, and this is not to blame nobody for nothing, but I just remember I had one with my friend Shaquan, my best friend of fucking years. We have been best friends since 7th grade. Um, and yeah, so I just remember me and her had went together. I don't remember where we went or what we did, but I remember we ended up smoking. And Shaquan has never. Yeah, baby. I wash hands. Go ahead. Shaquan had never really been a smoker, so she had just told me like, okay, you can have this last blunt because I know I'm not gonna smoke it or whatever like that. And I just remember going home, going in my little at the time I had just bought me a '03 or '05. It was a '05 Mitsubishi Galant, and it was my first foreign car. I felt so cute in it. The inside was so cute. I just felt like a boss. Like, so I'm sitting in my car, I'm listening to music, and I'm just getting high. And I was so embarrassed because I'm like, fuck, I gotta go in here. Kamaya's gonna know I'm high. She's gonna be able to tell. She's not gonna want to taste my milk. She's not gonna like the way my milk tastes. Like, all these thoughts were going through my mind as I'm smoking, and I did not give no fuck. I'm like, I just felt a sigh of relief. Like, I had time to myself because I had about 10 minutes to go sit in my car and smoke before somebody noticed that I was gone, because again, I was sneaking and doing it. So yeah, I just felt like I always had my daughter, and it was my form of like, okay, this is my break. It went from, okay, I'm smoking because I really need a break from just being a mom and all of this, to full blown, it was a need, it was a necessity to me, like water or food. And it remained like that shit for 3 years. My daughter is 3. And yeah. So now I'm pregnant again 3 years later, and I've been smoking a lot more lately than I ever have this year and last year, because it's gotten to the point where, if y'all didn't know, I am an entrepreneur. I don't work. I haven't had a job in a year. I strictly do YouTube and tarot readings and stuff like that. And it will get to the point where sometimes I will have $20 in my account. My rent would not be paid, but I was for sure getting it up. And like right now, it's to the point where like I spend my last on weed sometime. Um and the month of June, I had so much money. Like, I had made so much money from working, and I just remember like I did not pay my rent. Like, I spent that money, and I had got a stimulus check. Like, I had money. Like, I had money, and I just spent it, and I smoked a lot. And if y'all did not know, I am in a relationship, and My current relationship, the first couple months were kind of hard for me because he was working a lot and I was home alone a lot. And again, I don't really have friends. And to me, smoking and ordering food was like my me time. It was like something that I was doing for myself. And with the pandemic, my mom had been having Kamaya a lot, which obviously is giving me more opportunity to smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke. And yeah, I will always like go in the bathroom and smoke. Like I've never been one to smoke around my daughter, but my daughter very much knows what being it. Yeah, they dirty though. It's not one. Nope, this Kamaya's, but it's dirty. See. I don't listen. But yeah, so it had gotten to the point where Kamaya knew, like, you going in the bathroom? Like, I felt like that was her knowing that I was going in the bathroom to smoke. And I did notice that I was taking myself away from Kamaya sometime. Like, she wanted to play, but I'm like, damn, I really need to hit the blunt. And then I would go in the bathroom and hit the blunt. And I would come out and it's like, okay, now I just want to sit down. Or now I want to relax. Or now I'm tired because I'm high. And I just know that all of that affected her. Like, I know that she was aware, you know, and she is around smoke because my mom smokes as well. So she very much knows what smoking is. And one day it really broke me down and made me cry because it was a blunt. Like, you know, like when you rip off the top of the blunt, it was a little bitty old top of the blunt on the floor. And my daughter was like, Mommy, that's a blunt. And I just remember looking at Jonathan like, did she really just say that, honey? Like, did she? A kid, I feel like a kid just shouldn't know certain things or shouldn't be aware of certain things. And I feel like I had exposed her to that. Like, I exposed her to me being high. Okay, I'm sorry. You know, and you don't think about it, but even if you just with your friends and getting high and your baby can't be in the room, that's her wondering like, well, why I can't be up in there? What y'all doing that I can't be up in there? Or, you know, like whenever I would go in the bathroom, or one thing that I really didn't like was my baby used to sleep in my bed with me. Kamaya, go in the room, please. Thank you, honey bun. Kamaya used to smoke. She used to sleep in the bed with me and Jonathan. She still do. And she will always want to come in the room, but we would be smoking. She would be ready to go to sleep, and it would just be like, okay, you can come in here when mommy's done. It was like, even if I didn't have to say what we was doing, like, she knew, okay, I can smell smoke, but so I can't come in there, but when they done, I can come in there. So when she didn't smell smoke no more, or when she felt like we was done, then she just smiled and creep her way in there. And to me, I felt like that was her making those connections. Like, that was her kind of like understanding that mommy is doing something that she should not be doing, or that she doesn't want me to see. And I don't know, like, even just that thought hurt my feelings. So that was one of the things that just really kind of made me want to stop smoking at first. Like, just the fact that, like, I'm taking myself away from my daughter. Like, I could be with her chilling and playing, but I'm sitting here in the bathroom smoking. And then it's like I don't even be feeling hella high because my tolerance is so high because I smoke every fucking day. And it's like, but I would still put that over my daughter. Oh, you want to dance, you want to play, but mommy got to smoke first. Or in order to have fun at the park, mommy finna smoke and then we gonna go to the park in 1 minute. Like, I was always putting weed first. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Because as parents, especially as young parents, we smoke before everything. We smoke before we put our baby in the tub. We smoke before we go to their school events. We smoke before we take them to parties. We smoke so that we can enjoy ourselves while we take them out. You know, like, we smoke, especially this generation. Like, we are smokers. Like, all of us. I'm not gonna say all of us, but a lot of us are smokers. It just is what it is. And finding out that I'm pregnant for like a whole year, I had kept telling myself, like, God must don't want me to stop smoking, because God is not taking money away from me. God is giving me all the means to find marijuana. Like, I just felt like if I didn't have a reason to stop smoking, I wasn't gonna stop smoking. I'm like, shit, when I get pregnant, I'm gonna stop smoking. That's when God would tell me, like, all right, you got a reason to stop smoking. So I was manifesting a pregnancy for about 6 months, and I kept telling myself, like, well, maybe the reason I can't get pregnant is because I won't stop smoking. Even still, I couldn't stop smoking. I couldn't stop myself from smoking. And when I found out that I was pregnant, me and my boyfriend were just getting into a position of fixing our relationship, and smoking together was something that really, really brought us together. Like, smoking is a very social activity, and it was kind of like, okay, when the night is done, because like I said, y'all, he used to work a lot, so it would be a ritual or a routine. Okay, baby gonna come in the house, I done, we finna whatever, we finna chill, relax, and this what it is, and we kept telling ourselves that it was okay that we was smoking. We like, okay, this just gonna be your thing, Caprice. Like, this just gonna be your thing that you do at home. Only your baby, only I'm gonna know. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't gotta feel embarrassed about it, honey. Like, we good. Like, it's okay. And I just still couldn't stop. So it got to the point where I was sneaking and smoking because I didn't want my boyfriend to know, because I was pregnant. So it's kind of like, how the fuck are you smoking and you're pregnant, bitch? Like, so I didn't want him to judge me, but I was still doing it. Like, I was very much still smoking. And it got to the point where, like, okay, I wasn't feeling good. Like, I felt like, okay, we had went like 2 days, me and him, without smoking. And I felt like I couldn't eat anything. Like, I felt like gross. I felt hella nauseous and just sick and annoyed. And I wasn't fucking feeling good at all. So I ended up going to the emergency room with him, and we got an ultrasound. And at that point, like, I could see something in him change, because he was just like, no, like, we not doing it anymore. And that day I had cried on him for like a whole hour, and was just like, I feel like such a bad mom because I can't stop smoking. I can't do this one thing that I really, really want to do for my child, which is have a healthy pregnancy, because we were already going through stuff that was stressing us out financially and with our relationship. So to add the extra stress of guilt, feeling guilty about me smoking, it was even more of a vexing spirit on my heart. It was more pain, it was more trauma. It was becoming way too difficult for me to understand how I could be a good mother and still be smoking. Bless you, baby. So really it came to him just calling me out and being like, no, we have to hold each other accountable, because you don't want to smoke. Like, you've already cried about it, you've already talked about it, you've already discussed it, you've already had your fun. You don't need to smoke anymore. Like, it's done, it's over. And I think him kind of seeing the ultrasound and this being his first child, he ultimately went into protection mode, not only protecting our baby but protecting me, because he had seen kind of how it was affecting me. And I think having a support system when you are in the middle of an addiction is very, very important. Like, and weed is not the most addictive drug like other drugs. Some, like, I know, like, with opiates and like, I would say, I don't know if it's crack or coke, whichever one. I think it's crack, though. I think it's crack. Sometimes that first hit, you can be addicted. That first instance of hey. And it scared me because I do, and it's not really my business to share, but I have people who are suffering from addictions in my life. And it was just kind of crazy to me because we don't think about how we offer people weed, even if they're pregnant, or if they're just our friends and they never try smoking. We don't understand how we can get somebody addicted, because now you're tapping into their finances because they're spending money on it. You're tapping into them maybe getting a job because they have to drop. You tapping into, putting something on a person, making a person dependent on something, even if you don't understand that you're doing it. And yeah, it was kind of like I started dibbling and dabbling in other drugs. Not saying that I was like taking them, but I tried lean before, and I tried what was it? I want to say, like, I think Molly, but I don't know 100%. But I definitely started kind of like trying to see, like, chasing another high that maybe wasn't necessarily that I wasn't getting from the weed. So addiction is addiction, no matter what, no matter how we want to see it, whether we want to call it a herb or whatever. Because we can say shit, opiates are herbs too, But I think accepting the fact that it changes chemicals in your brain, accepting that that is what makes it a drug is very, very hard. And it's very difficult because it's something you can grow at home. You can eat it. There are medical uses for it. But you can go to the doctor because you sprained your back, get some Percocets, and then be addicted for 20 years. So addiction not easy. And I think a lot of times we tell ourselves that addiction is hard drugs. Addiction can be to your phone, to food, to cutting yourself. There are many forms of addictions, and I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for overcoming certain things. Like people who have stopped smoking weed, I'm so proud of y'all. People who have gotten off of drugs for their babies, I'm so proud of y'all. I'm proud of me, and I'm proud of this community that we're building together, because we need that support from one another. We need each other telling each other, like, hey, it's going to be okay. There are not many people who talk about the fact that they smoke during their pregnancies. I looked up and down on videos on YouTube, and that's why I decided to post this, because ain't nobody talking about this shit. It's so taboo. Don't nobody want to admit that we're addicts. We are a generation of addicts. We are the new version of hippies. Young, wild, and free. Doing us, living life. That's okay. That's okay. But we also have to understand that we are strong. We can use this stuff to our advantage, but it's something that we can get addicted to. And we have to also be willing to accept that too. Sometimes we have to be willing to accept that being an addict is a part of our journey. It's a part of our testimony. It's definitely a part of mine, because I never really plan on smoking weed again. I plan on maybe smoking herbs, different kind of herbs, getting into different smokable herbs. But as far as being dependent on weed again, I really feel like I want to fight it. And I'm still in my first week of sobriety, but I feel like every day is a step in the right direction. Every day is a step towards change. Every day is a step towards bettering myself. And I know that my baby can feel it. I know that my baby understands, like, hey, this ain't in my mommy's system no more, or this not, mommy's sick, or mommy has a headache, mommy don't really got no appetite. Y'all don't think that withdrawing from weed is a thing, but just as bad as you can be dope sick, like, you can be weed sick. And I'm not saying it's gonna be as bad. You're not finna be motherfucking shitting bricks and throwing up and crying and just real life dope sick is a different kind of sick, bitch. Like, that's a different type of sick, okay? But weed tick, like, you won't eat. I'm telling you. You will not eat. You will not have no fucking appetite. You will get headaches. Because now you smoking the weed, the certain receptors that weed was turning off are now back on. They don't got nothing subsiding them. So now they just pulsing. Your veins are just pulsing. And that shit hurts. That shit hurts. That shit fucking hurts. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this addiction video. If you guys have any stories or any encouraging words that you guys would like to share with me in the comments, please do so below. But yeah, I'm out of here, y'all.